Well, welcome into the episode of Patrick Jones Baseball. In this week's episode, we have Seton Hall's recruiting coordinator, Giuseppe Papaccio, on the podcast. Giuseppe is a great guy. I've been following him for a while now and really like the stuff that he talks about and implements. And this guy is a crazy disciplined person where we kind of get into his routine, his daily routine. I mean, he gets up at like 2:30 in the morning and he runs, and it's really is inspiring stuff. And he also, I really like this episode too, because he really opens up kind of about some personal stuff and personal beliefs. So you really get to know him as a person well. And then obviously we're talking about Seton Hall and kind of how they go about doing things. But overall, just phenomenal guy and great episode. I learned a ton. He's someone that I definitely would recommend players go and check out. And definitely that program is a place I would go check out if they're talking to you, just based upon my interactions with him. Here we go with Giuseppe Papaccio. All right, Giuseppe, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
So I guess my first question for you, and I know we talked a little bit about yesterday, and you're obviously someone who's, I can tell is very prepared, routine oriented. And so, you wanted some topics ahead of time. And you remind me a little bit of my good buddy, Ari, who coaches at Jacksonville State, the hitting coach down there. Same way he wanted, he wanted the topics ahead of time. And I told you, I was just like, I like to follow my curiosity from these because I've tried scripts, I've tried everything. And it's just like, for me, maybe it's a selfish thing where it's like, I just want to ask the questions I want to ask. And it's solely dependent on, kind of what I hear from you. So anyway, a long story short, I started following you not that long ago, and you really caught my attention because every day, at least for the first couple of days I was following you on Instagram, you were posting like 2:30 in the morning. You were like getting up and running. And so I was kind of like, maybe this guy just didn't get a good night's sleep last night or whatever. So, but anyway, so I was like, let me keep following. So every day I'm checking Instagram, and every day you're 2:30 a.m. So I have to ask, like, what time do you get up?
Yeah. It's right around there. And it kind of depends on the day. Like if we have a longer day and it's going to be a little bit later that I either get to the office, or it's usually based around my kids, honestly. Like if I have to do something a little later in the morning, it might be a little bit later, but it's honestly, it started from morning lift as a college player. Like we would lift at 5:30. So I would get up at 5. And then after that, I kind of just like figured out the only way to work out and get my stuff done before the day started was like that early. And now I have two young boys now, with trying to be with them a little bit before I go to work. Like my one son, Peter, right now, he's up at 6 o'clock. So I try and be like done working out, showered. I put the laundry in, do some things, prepare his lunch, and then I can be with him for like an hour or so. So I just kind of got to bite the bullet because I just don't want to leave that up to chance. I can't be on the ride home and text my wife like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour or so. And she's got like both boys under her arms. Like, so for years, I've just been kind of biting the bullet, and I got to go to sleep kind of early. So I put the boys down and then I go to sleep. But yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's usually somewhere between 2:30, 3:30 ish that I wake up.
You're a savage, man. I mean, that's a David Goggins schedule right there. What time do you go to bed?
Thank you. It kind of depends when they go to bed. Like last night's a good example. Like I'm not on great sleep right now, but we had a hitting camp last night. I got home probably around like 8, and then the boys are going to sleep soon. And then I try and get to bed by like 9ish. So I'm not in the 8-hour window of sleep, but it's somewhere around like 6 usually.
Damn, man, that's crazy. Well, obviously you're functioning very well. I mean, I think I saw this morning you ran 8 miles.
Yeah, put some miles on the tires today.
What's the routine? Like, do you get up in the morning, you maybe like you look at for like, you maybe look at your phone for some content or just some continued education. Maybe like I saw this morning, you posted some stuff about Pete Carroll and kind of, he was talking about quiet in your mind. So obviously there's a growth mindset. You're continuing to learn. Like, what's the kind of the routine for you when you do get up?
Yeah, so every morning, like before I run, I usually run every morning, but before I run, I have a treadmill in my house that I just walk on, and that's kind of like I have a whole like almost like 20-minute prayer routine. So a little bit of prayer, a little bit of writing and reading, and then I kind of have like my checklist of things that I need to get done. Like it kind of depends on what I need to do that day. There are times where I'm on the treadmill and I'm looking at video from the day before, or I'm looking at, it could be like our player development through that, but I have some time on the treadmill where my feet are moving, but I'm just kind of getting all these things done, usually on my phone. And then I run, and then it's kind of over after that. So I try and do I like the prayer thing, the prayer routine, has been I've been doing that for probably almost 10 years since I started coaching. I've been doing that, and then I just get my I guess, like, get my continuing education, like you said. Like, a lot of I was telling you before we went on, I've listened to tons of your podcasts, and that's usually when I do it. I have something in the headphones, and I'm listening and kind of, like, walking and kinda waking up. Like, I can't just roll out of bed and start hitting the road and running, so I need to kinda wake my brain up and wake my feet up, but that's what it looks like. I do a little bit of time on the treadmill and go through some things, and then I get out and run.
If you don't mind me, asking, like, prayer routine, like, what does that entail?
Yeah, I have a Google document that I've had running for, again, like 7, 8, 9 years, that I have, like, my favorite Bible verses, and I've literally never said this on air to anybody before. Very few people know that I have it, but I have, like, some of my favorite Bible verses, and then I have some other quotes in there that I really like, and I read that every single day of the year, 365 days. And then I have the Bible app and the Hallow app. I don't know if you've ever heard of either of those. They're really popular in that space, but they kind of just give me, like, I have specific ones that I listen to on the Hallow app. That's pretty much every day. They're kind of like 5-minute prayer routines. And then it's just like using those two apps and that Google Doc. That usually takes up, that's what I was saying, 20 minutes. It's usually like 10 minutes of listening to those two apps, and it takes me a couple minutes to read through my Google Doc. But I've got a Google Doc of just like, I'll see Bible verses and quotes and things, and I just paste it in there. So it's kind of long, but done that every day.
What do you feel like that helps you? Like, you said you've been doing it for 10 years. I mean, obviously, it was 10 years ago, but, like, before you started doing it, was there a clear difference in how you feel on a daily basis? The only reason I ask, like, my uncle has always been trying to get he's been on me about trying to, instill the morning prayer routine too, and I'm trying to get into it. I haven't really, like, totally, uh, you know, done it consistently, like, obviously, like someone like yourself, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, that started with my mom. My mom is super religious, and even like my grandmother, her mom, they were always really religious. And my mom serves at church and goes to church every day. But at Seton Hall, when I was a player, they started a Bible study my sophomore year, and it was like it was led by Focus and Varsity Catholic, which are companies that have like people that live on campus and do like student athlete kind of like prayer routines. And then our players in the 2011 team started leading the Bible study. So it was like every Tuesday or Thursday night at like 7 o'clock, and there would be 20 of us. And like, we're college kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, kind of like doing a Bible study. And our players still do that right now. So that's where it started, was just like a weekly Bible study. And then honestly, it's probably good content for your listeners. Like, baseball did so much mental, I guess, put me through such a mental whirlwind. Like, I needed some stability and more of like a rock and a foundation. And I rode the roller coaster of success and failure for so long. It was just like unstable for me. And I'm still a college student at this point. I'm like, man, this is like, you go to class one day after you have a great weekend and you feel like the man. And then you go to class the next weekend, you went 1 for 15, and you're walking with your shoulder. I was riding the roller coaster for so long. I found a little peace in that, and just a little bit of stability of having like a continuous routine. So that's where it started. And I kept through that with a little bit of pro ball too. Kept doing that. And then honestly, coaching too. Like, you have so little control over like the actual in-game experiences. Like, you control practice and the weight room and cages and all that. And then in the game, the players are playing the game. So like, there are so many things that are outside of a coach's control. And just being honest with you, I've struggled with that. This is my 11th year coaching Division I baseball. I've struggled with that almost every year. It's like, you go through these roller coasters of like, man, I put in so much work with these players, and the players have put in so much work, and we've done so much preparation, and then it just doesn't go your way. It doesn't go Seton Hall baseball's way. And like, how do you deal with that? So for me, it's kind of been more of I guess, like, just something stable. I do this every day, and I have all hope and faith. And I feel like that, whether you're religious or not. So for some of your listeners that might not even be interested in that, it could be a different religion, or just a different type of faith. Like, just having something consistent that keeps you grounded, and I guess keeps you stable mentally, is really important. Like, our players hear that from us all the time, that like, you can't get too high or too low, whether the game is going your way or it's not. You just got to try and be the same guy every day. So for me, that's just what keeps me in line, is just kind of following my faith and hope and all of those things. So that's where that started as a player. I was riding the roller coaster and I was like, man, this is hard. So I needed
Well,
something.
I'm impressed because I obviously you had more self awareness than I did at that age because I wish I would have done the exact same thing. It took me till I was almost 30, I think, to kind of figure that out. But you talked a little bit right there about kind of a little bit we were talking about before we started recording. Is like as a player, you can kind of define success. You can there's obviously there's numbers, but at the end of the day, though, if like you let the scoreboard kind of determine what success looks like, you're going to be on that roller coaster ride versus you determining it. And so I'm curious from a coaching standpoint, how do you determine success as a coach? Is it by wins and losses? Is it about whether or not you follow kind of your routine for the day? Like, have you thought about that? Like, how do you go about kind of defining success for yourself as a coach?
Yeah, you're talking about success for like me, like if I felt like I had a successful day or season. You're not.
Yeah, yeah, like you said kind of before, for example, is like, you can kind of do everything right and still not win, right? You kind of talked about
Yeah.
before, like with Seton Hall and things like that, maybe something doesn't go your way. And so it's easy to obviously be like, man, like, did we do a good job? Did we not do a good job? Like, how do you kind of define that, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think the separation is in the preparation, and our players probably laugh at that because we talk about that a lot. It's like, hey, it's separation season right now because you're kind of drawing that line between what you need to do and what you're doing. But for me, that's just preparing us as a coaching staff and our players as like an offensive group for who we're going to play and what we need to execute. And there are days where you can do everything right, like I said, and everything right, and it doesn't go your way. But to me, like as an adult, like you're dealing with some kids that are 18 to 22 years old. They handle it a certain way, whether they're prepared or not. So for me, it's up to me to kind of model the behavior that I want. So for me, success is more like, all right, am I prepared and are the players prepared? That's probably the biggest check mark. And then two, did I handle myself like a professional? Like
Mhm.
and I've messed that up a million times. Like I've been the guy that comes in after a bad inning and I put my helmet down kind of hard and the guys can hear it. And then I'm like 2 seconds later, I'm like, I don't want them doing that. So I can't do that. So I think that's where the success lies, is just being the same guy and feeling like I'm someone that they can rely on for a little bit of emotional stability and not being like a wild card and always freaking out on everybody. Like to me, that because that's I try and do my best of looking at like who would I want to play for. I would want to play for somebody that, if I was a hitter in our program, somebody who is fully committed to the development of the offensive player, who is fully prepared on like who we're going to play, and who I can feel like will be the same dude all the time. Like I don't have to like be scared to talk to him or scared to ask for help or scared that he's going to scream at me. Like those things, and me and you learn those things from people that we played for. Like we've all played for the coach that, like, if you miss a fastball, like they're throwing things in the dugout or they're yelling at you. And then you've also probably played for people that you feel like can give you a little bit more, but they're not. You know what I mean? So I try and find my way to be the best of, I guess, like, am I prepared? Are the players prepared? Is this like a stable environment where the guys feel like they can be themselves and they can kind of learn and fail and feel motivated and all of those things? So it's a long winded answer, but the preparation is probably the biggest part. Is that, are we prepared? Am I prepared? And is this a stable environment where they can learn and get better? That to me is,
Yeah, that's good stuff. It reminds me a little bit because to your point right there, is like I remember the coaches who would like maybe they get mad if I, like you said, took strike one or whatever it is, and it's like in the moment you're like this shouldn't affect me so much, but it does, right? Like
yeah,
in the moment, and it's like you feel kind of bad and guilty, but it kind of goes again. It's like everyone is a little bit different, and so it's kind of like if the coach panics, usually everybody else is going to panic too a little bit. So I appreciate you sharing that. That's really good stuff.
yeah,
Going back earlier, I know you mentioned your mom. I was listening to you on another podcast, Elite's podcast, and they do a great job too. I think I heard you say she's been a professor at Seton Hall
yeah.
for over 25 years, and so I was curious. What does she teach?
Yeah, she's done a lot of different things, but it's more of like the English and writing ballpark, and she's done a bunch of different things. Like she's even taught like an ESL summer class. So she's bilingual. She speaks Italian. My dad is from Italy, and my whole half of the family lives on that side still. So she's and like her first teaching job was actually in Italy. So she's bilingual, but she also does like the primary work of hers is like English and writing, and she's done a million other things, but that's where a lot of her classes have been. And I think I've got to confirm with her, but I think it's 22 or 23 years that she's been here. So I remember like being on campus a few times, like when I was whatever, 13 years old, 14 in high school, coming around here. Been around a while, and it's like my aunt went here, me, my sister, my brother, my best man, my wife. We there's a lot of
Wow.
Seton Hall blood here.
Are you bilingual?
No, I like my sister, my mom, and my dad way better than I am. Like if I were to listen to a conversation, I can kind of figure out what they're talking about, but don't rely on me to dissect what's happening.
That's it. So your sister is how that happened?
So I mean, the easy answer is she's just smarter than I am. But no, she's been to Italy a bunch more times than I have too. And her husband, my brother-in-law now, his family is kind of just like ours. Like his whole side of the family is all from Italy. They have a house, maybe two houses in Italy. So they go back and forth all the time. So my sister has been to Italy maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 more times than I have, and they can
Mhm.
navigate the whole thing together. And she's just been more, I guess, like involved in the language than I have. So I like she'd be traveling with whoever my dad goes every year, a couple times every year. She would go with him, and they would just be, I guess, like entrenched in that environment a little bit more. But yeah, even I remember funny story. Her and I took Italian together in the same class at Seton Hall, and I remember like I would be like sweating in class. Like I'm in the back of class, like I just don't know what they're talking about. And she's like sitting there kind of just digesting it, and she'd get a 95 on the test, and I'd be going for extra help, and I get like a 72. So I'm like,
That's good stuff.
I'd tell her
That's good stuff.
it's genetics.
That's funny, man. Yeah, you are deep rooted at Seton Hall. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you played there and had a lot of success there as a player. Ended up, playing professional baseball and making it to Double A. What was your takeaway when you got done playing as a player? What did you learn from the time you graduated at Seton Hall and then went to pro ball and then finished pro ball? So, like, what did pro ball teach you about the game from a development standpoint that maybe now in the back of your mind you have to help players who you now coach?
Yeah, I think a lot of like the mental stuff that you and I have spoke about, a lot of that kind of rose to the surface. And I think my career at Seton Hall just got better as I felt like I became more mentally stable. So that was the biggest difference between my first 3 years and then my senior year, which was my best year, was that I just felt like I could be more, I guess, like pitch to pitch. It sounds cliche, but I was just more involved in like one at bat at a time. And over the course of 56 or 60 games, that pays off huge. So it was like, I think junior year was like 280 and then senior year was 360 or something. And that 80-point swing, yeah, there were a couple like mechanical changes that I made, but I had similar body, similar skill set. It was just more of like if I started the game 0 for 2, I could finish the game 1 for 4, 1 for 5 because I was still in it. Previously, if I was 0 for 2, man, it was done. It was just like
Yeah.
trying too hard, trying to get 2 hits in one at bat, concerned about my batting average. What are they going to do? And it was just like too much for me. So that was the biggest thing. And then in going from college to pro ball, it was just another level of that. It was like, all right, because you're always concerned about who's taking my job, what level am I going to, am I going to get released? Can I get to the big leagues? I'm pretty good.
Mhm.
This guy's way better than me. So it was just like I guess, the roller coaster of, like, always wanting to be better, but trying to sharpen my sword in every aspect. So that was the biggest thing going from college to pro ball for me was, like, I think my first off season, I was, like, trying to get better at everything. My draft year, I had a good summer, the first year playing pro ball, and I went to instructional league in September to October, and I felt like I belonged. I was like, "Man, I can do this thing." And I just went kind of like, and I trained here at Seton Hall in the off season. So I just tried to like turn over every stone. I was like, all right, what can I do here? What can I do here? What can I do here? And then it didn't go my way like the first month or so of the season and spring training. And it was just like, I felt like I was fighting uphill forever. So I've tried to give that back to our players and every guy that I've coached is that like, and sometimes I probably don't, I guess, express it perfectly, but like, I know what you guys are feeling. Like
Mhm.
I've been I tell this story all the time. Like I was playing in high A in Daytona Beach, Florida, living one block from the beach. I would go to the beach in the morning, then go to the ballpark. I had a bunch of major leaguers on my team, but I was pretty miserable. Like it
Mhm.
sounds great. Oh, you're an All-American, you're drafted, this and you're playing in Daytona Beach, you live on the beach. I was hitting 150 and I was playing every other day and I was calling home like this stinks. Like I remember calling my girlfriend who's my wife now and I was like this is just not what I thought it was. I thought I was going to be like on the high road to working my way up and it was just like in and out of the lineup. not playing great, putting too much pressure on myself. So that was the thing that like I learned the most was that one, it's very difficult. Like pro ball is a different animal because it's kind of like you out there by yourself for the most part. You try and create an environment as a coach to make them feel like they belong, but a lot of it is like, and you know from the Orioles, like probably less than half of them or half of them speak English.
Oh,
Like that's
yeah.
one thing. Like they were all really nice, but like there are a lot of guys that I played with that like I couldn't connect on that level with. So like the team camaraderie was a little off sometimes, but that was the thing. Was everybody was so good, and I was kind of always fighting uphill. I felt like I don't think I could have prepared myself better, but it was a good lesson for me to learn to be able to give back now as a coach that like, man, this game is hard. Like there needs to be some forgiveness. There needs to be a little bit of like, I guess like a learning environment where guys can feel like it's not always they're falling flat on their back. Like they can land, I guess, like amongst you and you can help them. So that was I think everything happens for a reason. And that's really the basis of it is like, all right, my career didn't work out, but hopefully I can assemble, I guess like a tool set for all of these guys to have better careers than I did.
Parents, are you tired of spending money going from showcase to camp, not even knowing if a coach is even looking for your son's position or even knows his name? One of the reasons that I started my college baseball recruiting service is to help guide families throughout the recruiting process so you're not having to waste money and time going from showcase or camp to camp. If you're interested in hearing more about how I can help your son, head to patrickjonesbaseball.com and fill out the form. That's patrickjonesbaseball.com. Fill out the form right on the homepage, and I'll be in touch. All right, back to the podcast. Going back to you being on Daytona Beach and drafted All American, all this stuff is like you said it perfectly. From the outside looking in, I was like, what a freaking awesome opportunity! Like jealous, heck, I'm jealous, right? That'd been awesome. Going back now, would you like in the moment? Did you realize that? Did you think in the moment like? This sounds awesome, but it's not, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then now, like looking back, do you know why? Like, if you could go back again, would it be just a perspective change? Would it or was it just something that that's just the way it is?
No, I think part of it was that you're just to be honest about it, like I was a senior sign, so now I realize the value of like having a bigger signing bonus and being a guy that I guess has a little bit more invested in him and the chances are a little bit, I guess, longer and deeper when the investment is larger. So I kind of use that sometimes. I was like, all right, like my first year I played a lot, played almost every day. And then the next year I kind of saw like I was in and out of the lineup and I wasn't like the shortstop. You know what I mean? Like it was like I wasn't the starter every single game. So I put a little bit too much pressure on myself, I guess, there. Like it was like, all right, I need to play great today or I'm not playing tomorrow. So I think if I could look back on it, and it's easier said than done, as a player, like, all right, just play for today and just don't worry about anything else. But like when the Cubs are paying your check, like you kind of feel that little bit of pressure, like I gotta play pretty good today. And then you see like during the season, you see this guy get released and this guy got released, and you're like, uh-oh, like you're starting to
Mhm.
put more pressure on yourself. So I guess if I could go back, like, and that's one thing one of our players asked me like 2 days ago. He's like, "What's like one of the biggest things that you learned like in pro ball?" And I was like, I could rest my head on my pillow at night and retired playing because I was fully prepared. I felt like I did
Mhm.
everything in the off season. Like I didn't I was here at 8 a.m. and I did everything that I can do, hit, lift, run, throw every day, velocity training, mixed BP, all that. I wasn't a major leaguer, but I
Mm.
was able to move on and kind of hang my hat on my work ethic because I did everything that I could have done. It's like sometimes you get maxed out. Like I just yeah, maybe if a couple things went a little bit differently, you're in a different organization with not as deep at your position. You could look at a million different things, but that's something that I relate to the guys is like I said, like go 10 out of 10, just uncover every stone. Don't leave anything for like, hey, if I get drafted, then I'll worry about the mental game. Like, no, you got to worry about the mental game now. If I get drafted, I'll take my mobility a little bit. No, you got to do all
Yeah.
that stuff now. Like you got if it doesn't work out, you're like, man, all right, I wasn't a major leaguer, or I wasn't all conference, I wasn't this, but you never want to look back and think, maybe if I did this, I would be that guy. So that's what I felt like about myself was like my batting average was what it was. And I felt like I squeezed every ounce of everything that I can give. Then I moved on and now here I am coaching. So I
Wow.
had a little piece doing that. I was like, all right, I can move on.
That's great. That's great stuff. Great stuff. Speaking of the mental game, how do you go about helping players with the mental game?
Yeah, I guess the last 2 years, we've handed it off to more of our sports psych team at Seton Hall,
Mhm.
which is awesome. There's a full team of people that deal with all of our student athletes, but I was at NJIT before this, and then I was here, in I guess, like, a smaller role in 2017 and 2018, and all of those years, I guess that was like a 6-year window. I kind of led some skull sessions myself. Like, I would bring the team into, like, a film room, and I would have, like, I guess, like, a curriculum of what I think is important in the mental game, like certain pillars that I think are important. And I would kind of just run, like, a skull session, maybe a 30-minute to an hour skull session. I would play videos and keep it, like, relative to the players. I didn't want them to feel like it was a boring, I guess, like, lecture, but it was all baseball related. It was all experience related. I told them a lot about things that I've seen as a coach and things that I've experienced as a player, things that I think can help them, whether it be like a breathing routine or a visualization routine, some things that could be like a before bed routine. So I tried to just school guys on all those things as best as I can. And as a coach, like that room of 35 guys, there might only be like 10 guys who are like, wow, this is great. And the other 10 are thinking about like, when can I go to the weight room or when can I go
Yeah.
to the cage? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But to me, the mental game changed my life, not just as a player, but even now. That's why you're saying some things about like me reposting things online. Like, I still think that I need like a lot of room for growth in the mental game and just mindset training and all those things. So I wanted to give that back to the players, and we still do. I try and prepare guys for everything that life and baseball is going to throw at them. And I'm not a wizard at that. You feel like you give all that you can give just from your experience. So I don't want to talk to them all the time about my own career because honestly, nobody really cares anymore. But the things that I felt some guys can relate to, like, man, I remember calling home and feeling like, man, this is bad and that I'm not having any fun. So I feel like if you have someone to lean on, like if I can be someone to lean on for the players, just from my experience, I try and give that back to them. So that's my take on the mental game and training for them. Is I used to do it all myself and just make up I would start like a Google Docs and like pull up some videos and I would put it in the projector. I would stand in
Love it.
front of the class and I would coach them up. I would try my best.
Love
It
it.
it honestly taught me so much about, like, it taught me so much about public speaking and being able to, like, be a filter of certain things for guys and just being able to, like, navigate a room and feel like, "Alright, did this register with this group of guys, or do I need to talk more about this?" It was maybe there were some times where I probably, like, talked in circles or so, but it was awesome for me to learn, and I hope I gave some players some things that they can lean on.
No, that's incredible stuff. Yeah, and I like you said, I mean, it's so much about just consistently reminding. That's why I like again you post those videos. It's like today, I wake up I see Pete Carroll talking about again quiet in your mind and mindfulness, and it's like, yeah, obviously I've heard of that before, but like there's a million things going on. So it's like it's a great reminder. But I was like, oh yeah, like this is like extremely important. I need to I need to make sure I'm quieting my mind and not scatterbrained everywhere for what I'm doing. So I think it's great that you continue to do that. I know you're more of an offensive minded than being on the pitching side or anything like that. So when it comes to working with the hitters, do you find yourself? I mean, what's it like as a college hitting coach? Are you guys talking about mechanics a lot? Are you breaking down mechanics? Are you doing drills? Is it not much of that at all? Like what do you find yourself harping on consistently with your guys?
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the job is I guess like the offensive side. I've always and that's why I started coaching was as a hitter, I just love to be in the cage. Like
Yep.
I was a cage rat. And that was great because that's how I learned how to figure these things out on the fly, like through the season or through the even the off season too, was just getting in there and doing it. So I kind of like to preach that to the guys. So that's part of my job that I'm still trying to continuously navigate. Like I said before, it's 11 years deep into this profession, but every year you learn a little bit more like, all right, I should have talked to this guy more about approach and vision. I talked too long about mechanics. And then you get a guy who's
Mm.
super toolsy, but like the swing is really broken. You know what I mean? So like you got to dive deep into the mechanics. So part of my job, we've got 19 hitters. I have to navigate all of that as best as I can. Like we have some days where we need to dive super deep into mechanics, and then we have some days where we've got two hack attacks stacked on top of each other, and we're doing mixed BP with like it's 92 and then and the breaking ball, and you don't know what's coming. So there are days where I have to kind of decipher. All right, today we need to move better. We need to spend more time on whatever the pre-swing stuff is and some of the drill work. And then tomorrow we'll do more of like the compete mindset type of stuff. And then a lot of it is data driven. So in the beginning of the year, our first hitters meeting, I I looked at all of our data from last year, and the percentage of fastballs that our team saw was only 56% for the whole season. And then the location from the middle to the outer half of the plate for righties and for lefties was 67% of all pitches that we saw. So we saw only really half fastballs, and the majority of the pitches that we saw were on the middle to the outer half of the plate. So I based all of our structure on our off-season training to like, okay, we got to hit mixed BP and we got to cover zones and we have to be able to be adjustable and all the, and then as you know, obviously working with hitters, like a good swing path helps that, a good base helps that, good rhythm and good timing helps that. You know what I mean? So it's every day. And like we go in the office and we look at video, and every swing that we have for the whole year is on video. So we look at all the swings and we do all that stuff. But a lot of it too now is like, how are we being pitched? Like how,
Mm.
what's the approach? Like if you're Joey Wilga and you can hit the ball 500 feet, they're going to pitch you different than if you're Gabe Cavazzoni on our team and you run a 6'4" and you can steal 30 bases. Like they're going to just keep you off of first. So like, what's your skill set? That to me is
Mm.
like, all right, let's build your swing based around how well you need to do what you need to do. So part of that is like my job. My first year coaching, I was like, I know hitting. I was the volunteer. I was the volunteer at Manhattan College, and I just got done playing, and I was like, I could probably do this. Like I know what a good swing looks like. And like looking back on it, there were a bunch of good players on that team, but I look back on it, I was like, that was dumb. There was so little. And I'll forget. Maybe I was like 23 years old, but I was like, there was so little game planning. It was just like, all right, let's give these guys 50 different things. All right, do this drill over here, and then we'll do machine over here. And I look back on it, like we didn't even really talk about like the pitching staff, like who we facing, you know what I mean? So every
Mhm.
year you kind of evolve, but that's the basis of what I like to do is like, all right, I really do love, I'd be lying if I didn't say this, but I love the swing. Like I really do like watching video. I like teaching mechanics. I do. That's where I got my love for coaching was that. But I realized quickly, like you can have a beautiful swing, but that doesn't mean you're going to hit. And you can be a hitter with a kind of broken swing. So that's my job, is navigating those two avenues of like, what does this player need? So another long-winded answer, but that's the truth. And you know, you live it too. Like there's some guys you need to spend 30 minutes on the mental game and 20 minutes swinging. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And
Yep.
some guys that have the opposite. They're more of a competitor, but they have a broken swing. So it's to each their own. Every guy is going to be a little bit different, but that's the beauty of it. There's no finite game of just like do this and you will be a major leaguer. It's just figuring it out day by day.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, then there's the guys where it's like they have to get in like 150 swings a day, and if they don't, like everything falls apart weirdly. Like I don't even know how else to really explain it. I've seen that a few times with some guys. It's so weird. But again, it's like it's everyone is a little bit different, and I mean it kind of it is what it is. How many times do you see a guy, a high school kid, a hitter specifically, usually before you offer them?
Like when I'm recruiting them,
Yeah,
it can be it can be a couple times, it can be one. Like
or be one time.
I've offered multiple guys. Like I remember a couple times. Well, it might be like, okay, I see him at one tournament, I see him twice in one day, I see 6 at bats, and I'm like, this kid, like we got to get in the mix with this kid. You know, and like hey, he's
Mhm.
got a bunch of offers at a couple other Big East schools. They're in our region. Like I think he can do it. It's a little bit of a gamble when you do it like that, but a lot of our players are from this region, so I see them more repeatedly. I'll see them and kind of connect with their coaches and see video and then see them a couple other times. So I'd say the majority of them, I've seen a bunch of at bats and I've seen them play. But there are some good players that we've gotten that I've seen 5 or 6 at bats, and like the kid can run, he's got tools, he's got makeup, he's got a body, and then the coach is like, "This is a guy," and I'm like, "We got to
Mm.
do it." So then you kind of take the chance. And then the flip side, I've messed that up plenty of times. I'm like, this kid is gonna hit, and this kid is, and
Mm.
then you see 5 at bats and he hits 2 doubles and a homer, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And then it's like those are his only 3 hits of the summer. So, like, I don't have all the answers, but yeah, the majority of them, I've seen them multiple times. There are some where, like, you can't wait around. Okay, Rutgers is offering this kid, St. John's and UConn are offering this kid, and I saw them, like, let's get in the mix. And then they come on the visit and you let them decide. So it's
Hmm.
kind of it could be a little bit of both.
How do you go about, like, in terms of the recruiting process? I mean, what's the timeline? Because I saw I mean, you guys, I've been following you. Like I said, I see the commitments. You've gotten several 26 commits just in the last couple months, which is pretty rare, I would say, for most of the Division I programs out there. What's the flaw? Is it because maybe you lose guys to the portal, or something else happens? Like, how do you go about maybe like structuring how you think about recruiting, or do you even really like be like, hey, we're just going to go off of what we need, and then we'll make adjustments as guys kinda come and go?
Yeah, I think again, like the stuff we've been talking about every year, it kind of changes. I'd say 2 or 3 years ago, if you asked me that, I'd say like, man, we got to hammer the portal just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I still think we do. Like some of our best players on our team right now are from the portal, that's just the truth of it. But over the last couple years, some of our best all conference players are kids that we recruited out of high school and they were ready to play as a freshman and a sophomore. So I've said that multiple times to a lot of kids that we recruit is like this is where we need to dominate, is like we need to hit on these kids that we're getting and not just hope that every year we can make a huge splash in the portal, because it to me it just holding the culture and the camaraderie of the guys to a really high standard. A lot of it comes with guys that have been here for multiple years. So like right now on our team, some of our leaders that are juniors that have been here for 3 years, and we recruited them out of high school and they know what the program is, they know us. So that's still really valuable to us. So some of the 26s that we've gotten recently, we just think that their skill set and their makeup and all of those things align with what Seton Hall baseball is. So we are trying to make room for that kind of wave of like the later group of players. I think more people, I see it across Twitter all the time. Like this kid held out because he wanted this fit, and now he's going to this school and he's a 26. He's in November or December of his senior year. Like there are a lot of good players out there. And I just think I I trust, I guess, like the trajectory right now of college baseball, that it's going to get closer to what it used to be, where like your junior year is your year to get recruited, junior and
Mm,
senior. I still think there are guys that like, and I'm guilty of it. I've taken shots on kids that were really young and they just never got as good as I thought they were going to get. And then there are kids, like you said, like you see a couple 26 commits and some guys that we've had committed that kept getting better and better and better. I'm like, this kid's gonna be pretty good. So
mm,
I've never got all the answers from hitting or recruiting, but I feel like our best players right now are some guys that we've had in the program, and they're leaders and they make I guess like they make the program tick. But we still got to replace some guys with some portal guys, because we are in that, you know it too. We are in that, like, in that area of like our best players are getting looked at by other teams. Like it's just the truth. Everybody on our team knows it. Everybody on our staff knows it. There are a million others. There are probably 100 other schools in the country that know that they are in the same boat. Like your best player can get recruited by whoever in the SEC or the ACC. So part of that is like to keep stacking young talent and see where it takes us.
that's good stuff. Giuseppe, thanks so much for coming on, man. First of all, I really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate you kind of opening up about even like some personal stuff we talked about earlier. I've One of the things that I've always tried to preach to kids and really follow myself is I'm a big believer in following people over like logos. And so I think anytime, I have a coach come on or somebody come on, I try to kind of get the audience to get to know them as a person, because I think if someone does decide to go to Seton Hall, I think it should be, to play for the people that are there, and to be a part of the people there versus just kind of logo chasing. That's just my own opinion, but
Yeah,
I
I
appreciate
agree.
you sharing that and you coming on, man. And again, I feel a little bit kind of depressed sometimes when I wake up at 8 a.m. and I see, he's ran 8 miles already at 2:30 in the morning. He's, taking the kids to school, and here I am like just scrolling on my phone. But
Don't feel bad.
I appreciate it, dude. I think it's great stuff. It's inspiring, and hopefully you keep doing it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, you've had an awesome run at this thing so far, and you just keep doing good work. I've listened for a long time. You're a good dude, and you're doing a great job. Just keep doing it. Thanks for having me. Really.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Thanks, man.